All right, well, that was our first look at Abyss, brought to you by VCT Esports. But when you're talking about who was looking good, well, this was OXG through and through. Strong win for a series on the day. I mean, Jen, going into this series, VCT Esports are the underdog, but even an unorthodox comp, even the one to bring Abyss Challengers first, it just wasn't enough to upset this team.
Yeah, they really cooked with the composition, and I think that's what hurt them in the end. First, this was the Battle of the Harbors. You play it a lot like Icebox, you cascade on offense, maybe have a bit of a high tide to enclose the site. And on defense, I feel like you play it like a Giga Chat Cypher. You know, use the wall to hold down the site by yourself and hope and pray your team gets there on time. But I like the Reyna from SAD. I thought it synergized well with the Harbor, the way you can play front to back. And I thought there was going to be a lot of pressure on Redux, considering I feel like Jet gets countered really hard by Harbor, just all the slows and stuff, and how you have to play around it. But Redux handled himself well. I think SAD just got out-comped.
I mean, out-comped, but even when we're just looking at the kills and whatnot, I think just out-fragged as well. And Roy, I want to talk about this when we're looking at the stats, like what your eyes are drawn to first.
Yeah, I think the first thing I'm looking for before I even get into any of this is the fact that I'd like to give a shout out to our observers for attempting to observe that chaos that we just witnessed. Second thing is the first kills, first deaths. I mean, yeah, this was SAD's map pick, but I think for me, the takeaway was that OXG was extremely prepped, and there's a reason why they floated the map, right? Like it almost felt like they baited SAD into picking it, but they had a very well drawn out game plan.
Yeah, the weakness isn't in the composition for SAD, which they cooked up this composition special for playoffs, thinking they could catch them off guard. We were like laughing because we were talking about how Dip is the master of Sova, and we didn't see Dip on Sova, which I think really hurt SAD in that part because they lacked so much information. There's only so much the KO knife can really bring, and even lacking the Omen, instead playing the Clove instead of the Omen. It's just another layer of attack in the round when you could have a Paranoia and maybe still have a Jet Dash active. So there was a lot less options for SAD in that regard, although I thought the Reyna and the walls, I thought that was cool, but like Uber said in the cast, it was chaos. You pointed it out, Roy. How do you observe it? How do you cast it? How do you play it? You walk into Cypher Cage to Omen Smoke to just different Harbor walls. You couldn't see anything.
No, it was absolute chaos. But now to circle back to your point about the Sova, I think that actually did play a massive role, especially on their attack side, right? Because whenever they were trying to get on the sites, they kept walking into the traps. They kept getting like kind of killed for free, and it's the lack of like Cypher counter, which is honestly a little bit surprising because Cypher has been the meta pick on this map, or at least in the other like tier 1 VCT matches. So I'm a little surprised to see that a bit of an oversight from the SAD esports side in terms of composition choices. But yeah, it did end up kind of biting them in the back, and that is really unfortunate.
I want to circle back around to the prep that OXG has done on this map and kind of talk about that confidence a little bit, because I think the biggest thing that kind of sums that all up for me, like the easiest way to just kind of like put that in a little bit of a picture, is to pull a couple of clips that we got to see coming out from Redux. Redux picking up the Jet for this one. You're talking about sometimes with the Harbor, you can get slowed down. Redux just playing right into the Abyss, Roy. Like, just, even if he's not getting the kills, creating that sort of space and putting this pressure on, I loved it.
And it must be so fun to be Redux playing on this map. Like, you just get to fly off the side of the map, float around, updraft, look for your kills from the side of the map, completely avoiding all the utility. Like, that has to, at minimum, be fun to play. And it kind of just showed because he was just having a grand old time. He was just kind of just doing his thing, and it was awesome to watch. It was fun.
And that's what I loved about the Jet pick, is that it does give them offensive options, especially on a map like Abyss where you wouldn't expect it. Now, I'm glad that there was awareness from that Reyna side, and the Reyna, yeah, it can't maneuver around the map as much, really just tried to bunker down and play off the Leers, which you don't have infinite amounts of. So it was a nice, I love those clips that you picked out, Sierra, because it really showed kind of the duality of Reyna versus Jet, what they're able to do, and what it really came down to at the end, which was winning your gunfights sometimes.
And I mean, for VCT Esports now, they tried to cook and unfortunately fall a little short on that one. And looking at the next map in the series, when I was looking at where they needed to cook and change something, I was looking at these next two maps because they've played really recently, as of week 6. And unfortunately for VCT Esports fans, OXG here, Roy, had a great showing on these two maps. And OXG, even on just Sunset, just looks so disciplined. Like, this is a toughie.
Yeah, I think a part of that reason is the fact that OXG's roles are just so they just like fit very snug and nicely on that map, right? Like you have Mitch on one of his best agents, statistically speaking. He's on the KO, Scuba's on the Omen, Verno's on the Breach, right? Like Dapper's on his Cypher, Redux is on his Raze. Like everyone just, the roles are just perfect for that map. And it's a very defaulty style of map, right? Where we talked about before, it's like that is their bread and butter. They're down to play slow. They want to have a read on the round. They don't really want to get caught by gimmicks and just have like a very well constructed round from beginning to end. And it's a map like Sunset where that really shines.
And you've heard from Oxygen before, there's not a map that they don't feel comfortable on. It's now we're looking towards SAD and how they've adapted, where they play a lot of Sova on Sunset. They play a lot of Sova everywhere. But now that we saw Dip on Gecko, is he getting enough time on the agent to really like master it and to be able to utilize it on a map like Sunset, where I feel like Gecko can be a big part of that playmaking ability to get information, also to get into sight. So I'm looking towards Dip to be that impact player for SAD.
I'm even just wondering about this first hurdle going into the map is what agents and what SAD Esports is kind of thinking of. Because when we're looking at the loss, SAD Esports I don't think has necessarily been a team to be scared of changing things up, trying something that works out a little better for them. And when you're looking at a Oxygen that has such defined roles, has been playing at such a high level, I'm curious where we see that change in SAD Esports. If it's just going to be a stylistic thing here, Roy, whether it's how they hit the sites, or if it's going to be the agents, which we have our agents select up now. So I'm going to toss this one to you for your reaction. We'll get this one firsthand.
Yeah, I'm going up first. All right, bet. Now, there are
all right,
absolutely
it's not a fun one.
Zero changes happening right here. There's the exact same compositions on both sides. And yeah, I mean, despite the fact that there are no compositional changes, it does not mean that these teams haven't made evolutions to their strat book, right? Like, surely they have made some sort of adaptation. They have kind of learned from playing each other previously. And I think maybe not in terms of, comp changes, but there probably will definitely be like approach changes.
Yeah, SAD are still allergic to playing KO, so you don't have like a good anti-cypher utils, so it's going to be a lot on Skarn to try and clear those, or really also Dip as Sova. That's, his bread and butter is to try and clear that util, so SAD have to work together on this.
With no compositional changes, I'm excited to see how they change things up here on Sunset, try and push a map 3 here in our series, and for that, head back over to Uber and Gomps.
Thank you very much. Obviously, with these two teams having played each other somewhat recently, we have good information about what Sunset looks like between them. And it's been Gompa's such a good map for Oxygen over the course of this stage of challenges. That's why they picked it here. They get through Abyss, obviously not their pick. They come out with a very solid score and then get to play on what feels like their home ground. You've got to be feeling good if you're an Oxygen fan.
No, absolutely. And then now you're coming into this. So it definitely feels like like you said, if you're an Oxygen fan, you're feeling pretty solidified coming into Sunset. And now especially, I mean, for SAD, they're not going for the typical, let's go silly, let's go crazy, goofy. It's very straightforward. And I think they but for Sunset, I feel like there really isn't any forgiveness in that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, what SAD has to offer. I feel like now, especially when the tensions are high, there has to be, I feel like this is going to be a really good game because of that.
See how this one plays out here. 3 players stacked over towards the A side here for Oxygen to start with. And again, we're going to be seeing that sort of strong side, weak side dichotomy, with Dapper being a very dependable anchor here at B. And Scuba being smoked off of top mid. Opts to play more towards that Boba side. Fault line thrown up there just to see if there's any action to tease out of Oxygen, but they're playing pretty passively here. Mitch is shoulder peeking this corner and sees a Cypher. So, Oxygen kind of know if they've just spotted the Cypher, they're probably solo over towards the A side here. This now is going to get a bit more action out of Oxygen over a B, but it's heavily smoked off by SAD as they move in.
Now kind of looking to see who's on the outskirts, but they're keeping their patience. First is just waiting to see what they can do. If anything, now everybody's read into that as well with the rotation coming down to it. But everybody else moving down in mid. If you're SAD, this is so perfect if the timing works.
The retake here through Marcus would be a big scar. It has to be a solid anchor here. Going 1-for-1 is good enough, but now Oxygen can swarm all over this. They're going to have to contend with the post-plant position of Coburg here in B main, and that's a decent way to deal with it. I think there might have been an aftershock even thrown in there, but they're not ready for the late reflank coming in from Market. Scuba and Mitch in the 2 versus 2. Mitch tries to go for a defuse there in Darkest. Such an astute angle to take, but they're under some pressure. There's no time for Scuba to get this defuse anyway. Very well played by Sad. And using that little jutting lip on the left-hand side to be able to fire at the defuser while breaking up the 2 versus 1 there for Sad was huge.
Dude, they got that on lock. And again, a lot of that really was just because, they pulled for that wraparound. They committed to the plan at hand, and yeah, being able to just execute off that. Pick everybody off one by one, win condition there in terms of what the personnel was looking like, and at the end of the day, it's the confidence to kind of carry through. So Sad doing an impeccable job at running away, with that first round.
Revealing area.
Pistol taken here for Sad now. Again, Skarn a little wary about this stack up here towards B main. It even pings in towards market, but it's actually only a cam, and that camera I think is set up to be able to watch both into B main and market itself. And Mitch probably won't move from this position for quite a while. It's just as well, because Ferbs are there waiting on the periphery for a push up off of A. Are Sad going to get anything for free here? At what point do Oxygen get cold feet about this setup? If at all.
Inferno. Waiting for their chance to make a move. There's so many players just on the side of Oxygen looking to take one pick away from somebody, but of course that's going to be Mitch that manages to make a play.
This is definitely going to force that push in towards market now. Oh, I love this. There might be a pressure dip down with some of that breach util. Dip is able to get out, but Skarn is now surrounded by players, and this cypher cage is making it impossible to see. We might see a ping back towards A. And Mitch is ready to catch it. This is perfect here for Oxygen on this anti-eco. 3 for Mitch, pushing off of A. And now Sad are in a tough spot.
Spike planted.
Yeah, they make way. This wasn't the expectation they thought was going to come along, but of course, a map like Sunset that Oxygen are comfortable in, it's going to work exactly how they plan. Maybe not. Sad Esports taking everybody out in a matter of seconds. So now you got this 2v2, and the orientation not looking so good, especially with a Bulldog and a Stinger. My apologies, a Spectre. Moving forward down to the A side.
Enemy remaining.
At least some sort of decay goes through there. Redux now trying to make themselves some sort of spacing, but the time of the essence here, and they can't seem to find anybody else but a 1v1. And now if they don't get the defusal, now it's over. Coburg knows that. He's good, and he's settled.
That could have gone south very quickly there for Sad. Great play for Mitch, catching them as they made extensive use of mid for so much of the round, but better weapons do prevail in situations like that. But many of them got stripped out of the hands of Sad. Great patience from Mitch here, and the timing was very good. Again, I think it was Jen talking about the GigaChad Cypher over at B, right? That util completely stopped Sad's hit in its tracks, and they were forced to awkwardly pivot through mid with their backs to a player.
They still did a good job, though. Taking out so many players. The execution was flawless, but how flawless is this one going to be? Oxygen already off the rip, just taking out 2. It makes it so much harder to prove to themselves, if you're Sad Esports, that it was worth a fight. Now they do have to back themselves off.
Right there. Yeah, that's really an ugly way for this round to start. Sad were really hoping to come into this round after a clean anti-eco and have a strong bonus to really build off of. Now, though, they get really rushed early in the round. And they're heavily contained by Oxygen now, who obviously have Mitch embedded here towards top mid. And at some point, Scuba is going to push off this A side. Or at least look to reinforce top mid if there's a split through link.
Camera.
They're going for it. Inferno's ignored the util.
Cage triggered.
It's quite difficult now, too. So they have Spike wrapped around in mid. Lack of cam, lack of information. Mitch trying to fix that, solve the issue. They do have suppression, yep, and that's exactly what they're going to use. Information given away. 2 players just sitting inside of market.
30 seconds left.
And Oxygen, they make actually no movement after that.
Grouping up towards A now. This is more of a contingency for Sad, and you'll note that there is very little time left in the round. Scuba opts not to fall back, but will delay them a little bit with his paranoia. Sad cannot push through that. They've got to respect it, and Mitch is going to be there to catch them. They're going to walk straight into this crunch. Spike goes loose, only 2 seconds left. but with no real support here at the site. Yeah, Oxygen know there's no time for the plant to go down. And Sad, just run the clock too lean.
Taking that away. Yeah, Sad Esports. That's got to be it for them. Rolling Thunder almost readily prepped up. If they can take A orb here, which I think could be possible, it seems like that's exactly what they're aiming for. They do have big opportunity to get themselves back onto the A site.
That's a big round to win, though, for Oxygen. Throwing a wrench in the works here for Sad pretty early on. And a lot of it comes from that, like, great play over towards B main that gets them that 5v3 early in the round. Pretty aggressive here, though, positioning for Skarn. Already made his way into elbow, but he's going to be inserted here solo.
Sad like to take their time, though. They don't like to rush into anything too quickly, especially considering the fact that there is a Cypher on the defensive side, so not wanting to make too many wrong moves here.
Now, at least, I think SAG feel like they have a decent staging ground to play off of with Skarn in elbow. And there's no one actually at A, so Oxygen are going to walk in the mid and find it empty. And now they have to make their way in through Link. There's an opportunity here for SAG to sort of catch them before they can be sure-footed defensively here towards A. And his Aldrome will confirm that the site is clear.
Scanning ahead.
No, but they've broke it down. Doesn't give too much of an indication as to how many players are there, but they do know somebody's watching. They're from Sat, that's going to be good enough. The A site completely cleared up, the post plant looking good.
30 seconds
Really
left.
take their time. So much so that Oxygen aren't really sure that they're ending A until right about now. Some of these rotates are going to be a little bit slow, and have a look at Ferbs' positioning. If there is any sort of play through tiles, an Oxygen attempt to wrap, they're going to run straight into the Cypher. Timing, though, will be important. We'll see how that plays out, but for now... Yeah, Ferbs is ready for that. Nicely done. Now it has to come from Link. That's where the pressure for the defenders needs to originate from.
There it is, already Oxygen taking out majority of the players here from Sad and the Rolling Thunder.
Player standing.
Proven to be the extra effort. They're just looking to kind of solidify the round, but it's not looking too easy. I mean, so much util already expended, but they need to pick this 1v1 off before they peek the extra angle. And it might just work out in favor, but Mitch makes it work even better. Oxygen, they're not out of the game just yet.
That's a pretty solid retake for Oxygen, considering that they can't wrap from A main because they lose out on the Cypher duel, and they actually don't set up over towards Link whatsoever. They explode out from spawn, but they have, of course, that really reliable breach util to make use of there. And they just pop through and win a lot of those fights early on. The kind of fundamentals that take a long time to drill into a team. And that was pretty good considering Oxygen were playing for that full retake scenario. But with Breach KO, you always have options to give up the sites and come in and hit them hard with 5 plus all that util.
Oh, and this is big. Okay, become impatient. Just a little bit, no. They still keep their ground. Redux is watching, though, and the moment they know, it's the moment they want to peek. They have so much to use here, too. Like...
I mean, yeah, there's no way that Oxygen can clear this elbow position now. They basically have to try and contain Sad there if they can. And have strong presence in Link is going to be critical.
Get out of the way here. Okay, they do have a shock dart. How much damage is that really going to do? Not doing too much other than maybe holding Dip back in this scenario, but now that Pain Shell comes through, does do a good job at holding off, and that's all they're doing, waiting for that 30-second mark to push, but that's not going to be easy for Sat.
Yeah, that clock is getting bled big time. If Verno can play off this, especially, I think he's trying to get rid of a recon that would come in from Dip to light the site up. That's where he has his crosshair position. Aftershock thrown out to dig Redux out of that box corner. And Verno's going to be here with a fault line to catch them as they try and push in. Hunter's Fury now. Redux needs to get moving. Skarn is pushed out. And Verno ends up getting caught. He was the one with the util that was supposed to interrupt the attackers.
Spike down A.
Still even then getting 2. Yeah, they got tagged by the Hunter's Fury. But now for Sad, there's not really too much of a player advantage anymore, and especially with the information coming along as to where everybody is. And the spike not even there. Might just get caught alongside Scuba.
10
Scuba.
seconds left. One enemy remaining.
The 1v1. All they need is the last one, but it's not looking... No, actually, maybe he's not. Wow, that's crazy. Ferbs just came through.
Well, he has a sheriff, so, I mean, either he just dies and, you know, can just buy up normally, or he can, you know, take a gun away from Oxygen and give one back to himself and, you know, prevent him from having to spend that extra 3k credits here. So much, I mean, great job for Mitch here, who was like anchoring and really embedded in this site here. With Verno going down, losing the breach there, I was definitely concerned about, you know, Oxygen's access to that retake util or the ability to disrupt SAD as they pushed up. But SAD are giving Oxygen all the time in the world to play off their breach. An agent that needs a lot of premeditation, that needs a lot of setup. They're bleeding the clock down so much and they end up just walking into a wall of util.
Yeah, they're not looking to have a field day right now in this moment. Especially with, like, the come up from Oxygen, just constantly taking these rounds in.
Here.
Again, so for SAD as they extend into mid. Also pinging top mid because they're obviously concerned about just like an Omen or someone being sat up there. But that part of the map gets given up entirely. That does open the potential for a split for SAD or a wrap onto the B site. And that's what that smoke that they've thrown top mid is supposed to imply. And that's drawn Mitch up here to check it.
Okay, some slight movement forward.
They blew up that 0 point, so they denied the info from the defenders.
Yeah. Did settle down for a paranoia. Still working off some more information, especially now with the pop flash moving forward, but Oxygen.
They've got a flanking player here.
30 seconds
towards
left.
spawn. Dip is set up here to be a real nuisance.
Oh, they've already settled the paint shell too. So the paint shell gone. Dip doing such a good job at just eliminating the majority, and it's Oxygen to try to take things back. But with one health on Redux, it just gets harder and harder. Of course, they can use the paint shell to maybe just push back, create some sort of damage there, but it doesn't work out in favor. Of course, the bait coming through, and now there goes one.
Deep
And the next
again,
one as
still
well. The
backstabbing.
flank, it's just crazy. Oh, they do have that though. Surprisingly enough, it works out. SAD, they didn't need too much to work with there. They had good timing. I mean, good pieces of util as well.
But this is what happens though when you give up the map like this, right? You give up mid and you opt to anchor heavily in towards the A site. Dip is able to walk up top mid and wrap around towards CT and find like 3 kills in that situation, and then can double back to harass and flank through Link there. So that's like, you know, one deterrent from Oxygen just like trying to play inside these sites and fight. They do need to be a bit more diligent, I guess, at maintaining some degree of map control or at least info. Losing that 0 point at top mid, having that shot before it pinged out any information was pretty critical.
Oh, and they're so close now. Dude, Oxygen. They're using the close approaches and the anti-EQ to see if they can get something, but yeah, Vandal in hand from Dapper, and does make a lot of solid moves. This might be it, but doesn't know that Furbs is down on the other side. Either way, Scar plays with that advantage as well, having their own showstopper to utilize there.
All the guns are in mid, so only classics here for Oxygen and a shorty, I guess, from Mitch. And there's only a couple of places that you're going to see players with those shotguns play. It might be good for a little one and done in elbow, but not in a position to actually use any of his util for information about this A-side extremity. And slowly. Note that there's no flash here, so this will have to be manually checked. Maybe Dip can shock the corner. He has one available. Contact it and lose a player. All right, Mitch gets his. And out of his Scuba and Verna, they have to cross the map to help out here now in this sort of post-plant setup. Again, 2 versus 2, but now access to mid has opened up and Oxygen have been able to salvage a Vandal.
Spike planted.
No, they do. They know Rolling Thunder's there, so that's why they're sitting on the outskirts for SAD. Even then, are they going to use it? Like so, Skarn in such a good position, but now the 1v1 there, and it gives opportunity for the ult to be used.
That would be wild. If Verno Rolling Thunder's here, that would be absolutely crazy. He has all his util though.
Oh, but that's perfect. Okay, not so much to use. No, even then, they're just completely stunned.
The stun was just expiring, right? But again, if you have a Vandal, that first shot is still lethal. Let's see how this went down. Again, Oxygen look to fight him mid. This is very Crew Esports-esque, right? Take those sheriffs and try and stick them down the throat of the obviously the team with the better weapons. This is just Mitch. Good, honest Valorant. Double face here with the recovered weapons from mid. Oh, man, that is wild. Verno definitely any other day has that one dead to rights.
Oh, man. Hear me out. Rolling Thunder would have hit so hard there. No, it's hard. It's so hard because, oh man, like I feel like there's so much pressure, especially when you're stuck on the defensive side of things. Now you got to try to get the fusel. You have so much to use, but you also don't want to waste that ult for the next round. And honestly, it's not really in a dire moment because we are still in that first half, 3-4. You know, not too bad.
No, it was fine. And again, like you have the Rolling Thunder here for the retake, which is obviously something that both of these compositions are pretty adept at providing. One has the Sova, right, versus the KO, which is, I think some of the differences are pretty minor, but definitely relevant when you start talking about like what the ultimates provide you in some of these fast hit based rounds. But yeah, like you have Verno who can play off sites here. Also, Mitch can reactively, be making use of that null command here to really shut down, again, another util-heavy team in the form of SAD, right? It's very, very effective at like nullifying breaches impact and making it half a Sova to get that information. So, a ton of very helpful resources there available to Oxygen in a round like this. And so far, it's been like pretty competitive. I just think that we've seen Oxygen give up a ton of map in the past. That last round, right? It's a thrifty round, or would have been a thrifty had Oxygen won it, but they are bought in with only a few sheriffs. They go down mid. The showstopper for Redux, unfortunately, goes for nothing. Skarn ends up having like a pretty big round. I think 4 kills in that round. Up until that point, they've had a very quiet game. So now that Raze is starting to get involved a little bit more. SAD can still buy up despite losing a lot of those guns. And here we go, back in round 8.
Approaching the B side with caution, though. They do have cam. Where is that settled? That's so interesting because, I guess, well, Redux just has his back being watched, but beautiful. Already one taken out midair as they try to find that approach, and they just get backed off by the ultimate. That's crazy. Rolling Thunder settled down to the extremity, and now SAD Esports, they have to find another way.
And they can have a go at this again, right? They have a Rolling Thunder of their own to work with. They have enough util that they can, take this B side again. But right now, cutting noise is a great option. Because Oxygen have given up mid, they don't know if that's where SAD are wrapping through. That's why Dapper is watching mid from market. No one has eyes on B main outside of the probably that Cypher cam, I think, if it's placed where I think it is. So mid has to be cleared. And also SAD know this because they have a Cypher cam there that just spotted 2 players top mid for Oxygen. So they know they can basically walk up on B again for free.
Here. 30 seconds left.
Oh, they're moving back in.
Spike planted.
Oh, the sprays down works so perfectly. How does he just run away with that one? So much potential. And the jump peaks, Dapper's trolling. There's absolutely no way. Dude, he had such a huge opportunity to just keep that one going. But of course, nobody was there.
Feels like his opponent is low enough, but here comes that retake YouTube from the defenders.
Yeah, they just work as a team. That's so good, though. Holding each other accountable. Now, at this point, protecting each other as well. Suppression there, so Dip can't necessarily do anything left, especially with now, though, 5 seconds left until they can possibly pull out the recon. But it was almost there. And Verno did not do that well of a job at making sure that was secured. Unfortunately enough, so much util moving forward, and Verno can't seem to do anything about it.
One enemy remaining.
And there it is. Another round comes up for SAD. Beautifully done. And again, having that Rolling Thunder, that was aimed directly at market. So very hard for Oxygen to try and set up for a retake of their own. And Oxygen also spent the null command to try and shut that very thing down. This is a lovely little spot. The 10 spot, we call it. Ends up being a one and done for Redux ultimately. And yeah, this was a bit off for Dapper, right? Obviously, only at 5 bullets left, but really still feels committed to that fight. Tries to jump forward. Here's that null command sort of retake that ended up coming in and sort of falling apart a little bit there for Oxygen. So SAD are really up to the task on this map. They've looked very competitive. So much more than the first map, it's not even funny. And again, on a map that tends to trend more defense-sided, Oxygen have struggled. Now they've asserted themselves here towards Elbow. Oh, this guy's goaded. What?
Situation with this. What is going on? Scuba's just rolling with the punches there. And the game is immaculate. Confidence, booming.
One enemy
Especially sprays
remaining.
through box. Mitch makes it look easy, and it is for Oxygen at least.
Okay, that's wild. Scuba, little nasty with it. Ends up trying to take that last fight with 3 bullets left, which is a tall order, but definitely doable. And that's nice. I mean, Oxygen this time are not content to just sit inside the A site and cover their ears with their hands. Nice to see them be a bit more proactive about it, you know, like establishing some map control and not letting Sad walk in. Something they've done, in fairness, quite well over on the B side with those little pops out from B main. But again, their attention in terms of mid remains pretty limited. They might at least have Dapper sort of check and keep an eye on it here, but notice that they've got the Cypher over on the A side to start the round.
Same thing happening here, though. Okay, one way. Sad. They take their time with this one. Yet again, now waiting for the approach on the util. There only being a couple rounds left of this half. They need to take advantage of the attacker's side here.
Dapper has that passive angle here towards mid. This time he's not going to allow Dip or someone to slip into spawn. Sees Darkest. A little bit maladroit when it comes to the shot, but Spike is now loose, and this is going to get everybody's head swiveling over towards top mid. Drawn Mitch out of position there towards Boba. Sad are very much contained and have no option but to go back into mid. They insert Skarn here, who obviously only has a pistol, so not much really to be done for the Rays. And Dapper should eventually discover them here. There's a noise cut in the market. Enemy down. But Skarn was pretty pivotal, I think, to this play, and now he's off the table.
Oh my gosh. The timing on that is so bad.
30 seconds
That's
left.
crazy, too. They didn't clear that, which is interesting because actually, no, Div doesn't have the recon.
You can't
so
clear
regardless, it wouldn't have been good. Oh my gosh. And the whiff. It just makes it even better. Finding somebody out and then getting caught yourself lacking is incredible. 34 health left on Dip, and now that's pretty much it for Sad. 5-5. And Oxygen, they do manage to bring themselves back up here.
Yeah, I think they bounced back from their tech pause really well. That's 2 rounds won in a row, but the approach for the defenders has been quite different. That first round after the pause, there's like that scuba play in towards elbow, which is pretty sick, right? It's an Omen player just like throwing it down at the start of the round, able to find those 3 kills. Then, of course, there's Dapper left, up at top mid, pulled off the B side, which is not common, right? Normally you just stack A and have like the Cypher playing B, but that was important. Sad thought they could sneak up mid again, and this time they got punished for it.
Deployed.
Yeah, quick to the same things though. Oxygen, you know, going for the same one way. Kind of waiting along for some source of information, but mid-side Redux, even then, down towards B, finds the first initial shot coming through from Skarn. So the B site, you know, that pinch they originally had settled for is not going to work.
Oh, that ping off the neural theft, yeah, means Dapper can actually take some liberties here and wrap around. He's going to see the spike. Okay, it may have flashed on his minimap there with that shoulder peak, but it's unclear.
Right here. I have the spike.
Either way, Oxygen know that mid is just being sat in right now for Sad, which is going to keep Mitch watching top mid, right? So this renewed emphasis towards mid defensively for Oxygen has really paid off.
Maybe Scuba can take this one too. Nobody's there. Kind of help along. So Verno, yeah, settles for something else. Maybe using some of that util to back off once again. And it's so hard because Sad, they just want to push, but they can't find anything from it.
This rotation, though, you'll notice that Oxygen sort of move clockwise around the map and leave be pretty empty.
30 seconds left.
It might just be Redux playing inside market. Dapper can walk back into the site here. Oh, the cab. He sees Ferbs to walk into that cyber cage. He's about to see a little bit more than that. Tucked in the corner now. Redux definitely needs to play off this angle, and he does beautifully. What a brilliant flash that came in there from Mitch to set this up. And that a very clean round with 4 players still standing. Oxygen have really tightened up on this defense.
Last round before the switch.
They know they need to give themselves some sort of advantage moving over to the next half. Even then, like ending off things 6-6 is still pretty solid, but good adaptations, honestly, on the side of Oxygen for sure. Not allowing Sad Esports to get whatever they want. And I like the slow approach. I like the really, honestly, the aggressive hold from Redux starting off in the beginning, being able to take off Skarn so early, things like that. That tend to work out for Oxygen, and then having that discipline to take a step back and then you know, take a look at everything else.
Yeah, I mean, they really left Sad very little option to move around the map. And there were no gaps here in that defensive setup for Oxygen, which was crucial. And Scuba, who previously had like a big 3K round playing from elbow, this time just takes a shoulder peek and calls Verno in to fault line that for him, which is a pretty standard combination, but it also wards Sad off of even attempting to try and make a play for A. So we need to see Sad maybe get a bit more creative here. Maybe we see some more pressure towards market. They've not really tried to play out of B main since like that round 3 or round 4. They got pretty decimated over there. See, they're discussing now like what the approach needs to be. If they can't get up mid for free, if top mid is going to be watched by Oxygen like this, I don't think their sort of game plan from earlier on in this map is going to be valid anymore.
Yes, this should do. Wow, this is a nice spot.
Focusing heavily on B main.
Healing area.
Kind of leaving the util to speak for itself over inside of market, but mid, a place that Sad like to hit pretty repetitively.
Look at this. Good with the judge basically denying all of B main and refreshing that smoke. It's going to be keeping Skarn at bay for quite some time now. Look at the weapons here for Sad. It is a rough assortment of whatever they were able to cobble together for the last round in this half. Hunter's Fury is up. And also that Neural Theft, which is not insignificant. They have to spend an Aldrone just to clear lobby, which is insane. Over! What shot was that? Scuba emerges and gets taken down instantly.
I know, she has to keep his cover though. Not wanting to give away, but the player advantage there on the side of Sad. Mitch looking to eliminate some of that. Doesn't work out as planned. Still, at least so much to work with, right? Showstopper readily available, and they know they can make it. They know where these players are. There's so many just sitting on the outskirts.
Redux can pop the Showstopper here off a defuse attempt.
If they have it. They have it. At least one. No. But the second one not there. Unfortunately, not even any damage to kind of come from that, but they can fight this. They know they're at least on the right-hand side. Beautiful from Verno.
Oh, he's cooking. That is why Breach is so good. Even solo, you can play off that utility so effectively. Stun one side, fight the other. Having a Showstopper there pretty crucial as well. And Oxygen left a gap in their plan. I think Coburg snuck up through market. And he shot Scuba in the back, I think, as he tried to play around that smoke in B main. That looked like it could go horribly wrong for Oxygen. Sick little clutch there. Verno and Redux with the save. We're heading into our second half now as Oxygen managed to post up a solid 7 defensive rounds, but Sad have had some really good mid-rounding and calls, especially earlier on in that half.
Four rounds in a row, which is pretty solid, honestly, to end off on the half, too. But this is where these things start to take a turn, especially now with, like, kind of giving Redux that opportunity to play a little bit more than just aggressively on the defense. Now they can push themselves in onto the side and play the way that they, you know, that they were born to play, that aggressive duelist.
Try into mid here. I mean, that smoke top mid. How far is Dip willing to go to challenge this? Yep, he's pinging that there might be a rotation here, a split over towards B. Two players drawn out of Boba. I like the fault line, but Coburg gets hit by his teammates' stun. Redux got pinged there, but is able to get out with a satchel. Coburg is not ready for this, though.
It doesn't even work out. Oxygen, so good on the pistol round already, but they see potential. My question is, are they going to stick together and try to fight this one by one? It's not going to be too easy. 4 players still on the side of Oxygen, and they have to fight for this.
Just play
but at what
post
cost?
farm in B main,
Yeah.
good, honest Valorant. You know, it's very chop wood, carry water. And Dip and Skarn have basically no options here. There's also a flash up for Verno still.
One enemy remaining.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Pretty easy. Pretty good for Scuba there. So, yeah, Oxygen run away with a solid 5 round in a row difference here. So, I mean, not difference, but 5 rounds in a row. Just now, especially moving forward into this pistol round, into this half. It is a detriment for Sad. They have to figure out, you know, moving forward, how they're going to begin to handle this momentum from Oxygen.
Yeah, I mean, and it might be a 5-round deficit, to be honest, after Oxygen win the pistol here. Should be able to go to 10 rounds comfortably enough. That top mid smoke, I'm telling you, it drives defenders crazy. And they were able to actually push into Boba and market simultaneously. Great hit over towards B. This time A is going to get some love. Not much to work with here for Sad in terms of weaponry. And Redux might just walk the heck up here. If he clears this manually, yep, they'll be holding that usual for the side hit itself. The 0 point Coburg run into the ground. Redux, of course, just swings that corner.
Throwing another one down. Now Paint Shell actually moves and pushes back VCT Esports from trying to make some sort of aggressive play, but they've lost.
One enemy remaining.
Before, they don't want to lose again, and it seems like that's not what the case is going to be. If anything, they put some firepower behind that. You know, despite having some of those classics down, and that is a solid pickup. But no, okay, Redux was just playing around. Yeah, he knew that he couldn't give a weapon away.
Grenade!
Yeah, this one is pretty cooked. I think Skarn has to have a crack at it because there's no cost to it, but you're quite often going to see that, right? That second round, if you're in a post plan, you're going to win the round. You send the ghost player off to maybe see what they can do, get the round over early. But yeah, this was pretty brutal, right? They didn't have to use any util at all, Gompus, to clear elbow. They just contact cleared all of it, and the Redux just sprayed as he ran with that stinger because he's been able to close the gap for free on the defenders.
It's going to be pretty hard to close any gap at this point, but I mean, I guess now, you know, with these weapons starting to come back, there is an opportunity for SAD, especially with a big setup coming through from A. I mean, already 3 players there, but no, it's mid. It's mid information, it's a mid take, it's mid smoke coming down, and especially now lack of info from Dip. He could use recon to kind of settle down what's going on in mid, but is that going to be easy? No, Darkest already there with the early info.
Yeah, this time you see SAD far more reluctant to allow Oxygen to walk up top mid, even behind that smoke. It wasn't a split smoke thrown, though, from Scuba. It was just straight in the doorway. Sometimes used to pull people off those, you know, peripheral sites. A lot of that A util, though, here for Cypher, including a cam, so there's passive control of elbow. The smoke here, I think we're seeing pings towards Link, so it should be smoke towards Link, and eventually Oxygen will clear through elbow and make the way to the side. They've one-wayed spawn. They have not fully smoked it off, so still looking to take fights there. Okay, there's that Link smoke.
So much slower, too, to this round. Just trying to gauge what interest that has.
30
and where SAD
seconds
might be into, I mean, the site in general. But of course, okay, some information coming through from Verbs' util, but already as everybody begins to explode onto the site, it's just the back and forth, and it's Oxygen to run away superior.
Yeah, look, I mean, they ultimately make the right choice. They take their time, and SAD are pretty obsessed about mid, even you know, late into that round. That's the level of conditioning that Oxygen were able to impose on SAD in the pistol round and the anti-eco. So there were 3 people still looking towards mid, even with all of you know, Oxygen converging upon that A side. See here, Redux gets a nice little spot up on top of that box, but Ferbs defeats it. That obviously the cyber cage has a gap in it that can be exploited, but eventually it's just hold M1 for the boys, and Oxygen come out on top.
Oh, gosh. Oh! Hit away from it.
Here's their trap play. Fault line, obviously, to punish anyone that would sort of peek out and try and take a fight here, is that's what Oxygen are expecting with Stingers and Sheriffs on the side of SAD. Coburg does it, but it's a really passive shoulder peek, and then falls back to play off of Ferbsa.
Looking to continue along, though. Okay, finally gathering some information. But they've caught out 2. They know 2 players are here. Actually, even then, they might even know that the Sov is here as well. So just kind of trying to catch out what they can do with some of this patience.
Yeah, patience is the right word for it, right? Oxygen. You saw in that pistol round, right? They just ignore this corner that Coburg is playing in, and they just clear it by walking around it. This time, though, they're certain that there's a player there, and they don't want to just lose a gun for free. Dip, though, having to punish. Dapper gets taken down, but Redux is pushing in towards spawn. Ferbsa holds his ground.
I cannot use that.
30 seconds left.
Shock dart. Shock dart.
Shock darts just coming out like crazy from Dip to see if maybe somebody resides in the smoke, but Oxygen, they don't need to settle for this. Actually, yeah, they do. 19 seconds left. If you... Actually, no. Never mind. I'm getting trolled here. They have the ultimate there.
No, you're right. I was laughing because that Al drone just reveals everything. Sad get the confirm instantly that Oxygen are pulling out. So they can just stack this B side now with everybody. Walk up and give it a tap, start the defuse.
They still keep it going. Paint Shell so beautifully placed down in the back of main. And even then, Oxygen, they can't fight back. It's a 1v5. Everybody else already down, and Vernos hit with so much util. I mean, I guess the opposing team is as well. Yeah, but even then, not going to be an easy round to win. A thrifty round from SAD as they're looking to continue themselves in the game.
And the setup for SAD wasn't necessarily like out of the ordinary. They are putting the Cypher over on the A side a lot more frequently, which is definitely something to bear in mind, as quite often teams just sort of have 3A, 1 mid, 1 towards B. That's a Cypher. But there's nothing crazy that goes on. Coburg just plays his life very safely there through elbow. And they are able to draw Oxygen down into that part of the map and win 2 of those Sheriff fights against Oxygen players that are trying to rush. That forces Oxygen to back off the side, right? And that all gets spotted out by the L drone. So at all times, SAD have full info of what Oxygen are trying to do. Really nice, thrifty, backed up, of course, with that info gaining util of those initiators.
We do have Paint Shell to work with here. We're looking at ultimates. It's kind of close, especially for Darkest to kind of load up on one of theirs. 2 picks, maybe even an
Right there.
orb collection on their part, but it's not going to be easy. Especially now as Oxygen, they've worked themselves up. They're looking for that first-hand pick. They know the trip. Settle down here majority of the time. Yeah, Mitch finds it. And they don't manage to make itself very known as to where Coburg is, with so much util already settled down, and they can't seem to escape it. Everybody else trying to survive if you're SAD. How easy is that going to be? Absolutely not at all. And now they've lost 2. And trying not to lose anymore. But it's not easy. Redux so crazy with the aim, and everybody else just already settled down in the extremity, so they know nobody's coming around the back. As a matter of fact, they very much know where everybody else is positioned as well. There comes the next shot, and it's a flawless round from Oxygen.
That's been beautiful, right? I really can't fault them. The only thing, of course, is they get caught on a reflank by Skarn, who by that point is just too far away for the action to have any real impact. They're going to have a crack at it anyway. That was their second of the round. But there's a play towards Link here. Scuba very quickly repositioning to punish. Look at the minimap. Look where all those SAD players went down. None of them were really able to take fights inside elbow. They were forced out of there. I'm pretty sure Coburg had to TP into the corner of the A site, into like a fault line, an aftershock, a ton of util. So very awkward. Once Oxygen again decide to bring their full arsenal of, site execute util to bear, it's a lot for SAD to deal with.
That honestly was just a big...
One enemy remaining.
Honestly, just a big moment of util there. They managed to push back, I believe it was, Coburg. With, what was it, like the fault line, coming through from there, especially. Like, pretty much all of Vernos util. Just to secure themselves some sort of position. They cornered everybody out. And they knew exactly where to look. So that was perfect on their side. I think they're really, really good with kind of using each other in a sense of, okay, Redux, you go in, I'm going to do this, I'm going to position this person here, all you have to clear is the next side, and from there we'll take it, which I thought was really, really cool.
And look at Oxygen now. They are obviously only a couple of rounds away from taking this map. It's been one, I think, that their attack side play on Sunset has been a huge component of what has really given them the edge here. SAD have to call that timeout because, they can buy. It's pretty lean, though, but they're probably planning out their ult orb strategy here because they can get to a Rolling Thunder, which will be pretty important for some of those retakes. And of course, the Showstopper will be online as well. So we might see them play a little bit more aggressively for that. And I think Oxygen know it because they have this pop set up here over towards A. Phone line, Redux ignores it, just moves straight on up and is inside elbow. That's going to clear Coburg out of this corner. In fact, no, they just step back and the smoke allows them to play off the corner without being seen.
Here.
Yeah, they can't get past that trip. Cam set up in a position that does favor some sort of information over towards A, but yeah, they just back off. Oxygen don't really have too much going on over towards B, so they don't have that early information, but it's a nice touch off Dapper to take out Dip.
Definitely managed to sneak up here. I like that little off angle Darkus was holding, but they cannot maintain that here, and they're exposed to Mitch. That's what he was waiting for. Someone to creep down mid and punish.
Everyone hiding.
Now, Oxygen are pretty much online here for this B hit. Scan. Okay, sprays him down through the cyber cage. That might slow things up, or it would if for any other team, but Oxygen just want to push on to B with 3 straight out from main.
When they push past that, paranoia made its way, but so everybody else on B. Oh, the showstopper's not going to work too well. No, maybe it will. Waiting for it. The flash doesn't work out in favor, but now Skarn looking around to see if they can gather even more information, but a 1v3. That doesn't work out in favor of Oxygen. It's Sad Esports to take the win.
And for me, the most important kill of that round was Skarn just firing through that cyber cage through market. That's what forces Oxygen then just to filter out through B main. They don't have to split opportunity. It looks so good at this part of the round. Darkus goes down there not long after. Neural Theft is also used, so you think maybe Oxygen can wait a beat on that just to get an idea of what the stack is looking like for Sad over at that site. Now Oxygen's economy has become a little bit more shaky, and there's still a Rolling Thunder online for the defenders.
They're still making way. This is good though. Skarn, I mean, here's that info, but it's way too conveniently placed.
So we have that smoke at top mid here again, which isn't designed to facilitate a split, but to draw people off those sides. Showing some action here in market. Skarn hit with the trip, but can he follow up on it? Here we go. Null command going to be used instantly. Mitch goes on in. And now able to find 2 there. It is back and forth trading, but the site is open. I don't know if the door's broken there. Yeah, okay, the door is open in mid, and that is going to allow Dip to move on up. It will be a very late flank here, but there's trips set up in B main. This should spot out Coburg unless he TPs over it, which would make sound.
Careful now.
Trying to dabble in that. Especially now with Coburg's information given away. He doesn't even need to see. Like, at that point, it really is just a game of location. 31 health left off Dip. Yeah, not going to make it out alive, but the match point there from Oxygen. And they continue to really thrive on a map like this on Sunset.
I don't know what happened to Coburg there. He knew there was a trip in the doorway. Yeah. He let himself get caught by that trip and then ultimately went down. Maybe he'd been able to shrug off the stun by the point that he got swung from B lobby, but yeah, a little surprised he didn't just destroy it or push past it. Maybe there's a way to TP like over that trip in a way that doesn't really rouse attention. I doubt it though. But Oxygen here poised now to take the whole series away and advance, of course, to our semi-finals here in our Challengers finals. And again, this is double elimination, so of course, TSM falling down to that lower bracket. Sad would do the same with a second chance here to be a factor later on in the tournament.
Oh gosh, it's like a run and gun. What is going on?
I don't. You know what? I don't know. I scooped my eyes out already in that first few seconds that I saw. I mean, obviously a lot going on there. The Hunter's Fury poses a problem for Redux. Kind of leaves you in a nowhere to go position. So Dip gets value out of that ultimate, make no mistake. And I guess a lot of hope's being put on Scooby here to establish some map control.
Yeah.
Market door gets broken though. And again, he's just smoked mid again. Wants to keep people interested in mid, but he might just push through that. That could open up an opportunity. Is that B main hit though?
It's a good smoke placement, but
He heard
still
it.
is a lot going on here. Oh, but the timing is still not there. It's unfortunate, but Oxygen, they do manage to get that TP back. Mitch doing a good job at recollecting some ground there. But maybe Sad can bring it back up a 2v3 and the player advantage not there, not to mention the Rolling Thunder. That just doesn't allow Mitch any space. Still, though, the wraparound, this might be it. This might be the potential for Sad to keep themselves in the game.
I mean, that smoke time in the market was massive. Mitch got caught inside that Rolling Thunder, and Darkus can't capitalize on the stun. Now you've got Ferbster and Darkus coming from opposite angles. Mitch will be waiting on this corner. Has Scuba watching it. It's all down to Ferbster. Made such a big impact for this team when he first came into the roster. Looked incredible on that Cypher role. But it is too much to ask, apparently. And Oxygen take the series away with a 13-7 win here on Sunset. And we're reminded again of why it is their go-to map.
They ran away with that one. I mean, the go-to map looked a little rocky from time to time, but I think that mostly was just the fact that, we did get to see a pretty big pushback from the opposing side. So, I don't know. All in all, really good adaptations. I give kudos over to SAD Esports for, being able to push this far and kind of play against a team that has been so dominant throughout the season, to be completely honest with you.
Absolutely. I mean, Oxygen have been almost flawless, right? There was that loss in Stage 2 against Dark Zero, which is, pretty respectable when you think about it. Look, I think there are a couple of rounds there that were quite well for SAD on the attacking side. I think our desk is going to have a ton to break down here. They'll fall to the lower bracket. They're not eliminated yet. Let's head over to Sierra and the gang and get their thoughts on the match that was.
Thanks so much, you two. Definitely thoughts on our end. I mean, looking back at the second map, I feel like it was kind of inevitable when you kind of looked at the markers that were stacking up here, Jen. Last time we saw this Lotus, this was a good look coming out from Oxygen in a close one up until the side swap. I mean, SAD Esports, they didn't get rolled over until we got to see Oxygen on, their attacking end, in which case they kind of went for it. Moving on, strong showing.
Yeah, I think SAD really tried to challenge Oxygen's fundamentals overall. Why else would you bring them to Abyss? Something that no one's going to be really stable or confident on just based on how long the map has been out. Even then, Oxygen proved that they just had a stable idea. Even Roy pointed out they came in with a game plan expecting that Abyss could be played. It was floated. And you go to Sunset where both these teams have faced off before. And just overall, Oxygen had better decision making. That was the biggest thing I noticed. Better double peaks, when to break trips, what information that you give, and how to stay calm in scrappy moments. Oxygen seemed like the most experienced team, knew how to handle the early round, and that's demonstrated in the first amount of first kills.
Yeah, and it's not like Oxygen has completely blown over SAD Esports' strategy, right? Like it was kind of like toe to toe in terms of strategy, but it seemed like Oxygen was just slowly creeping their way into those round wins. Like whenever the team fights were happening, they would come out, with 2 players alive or 1 player alive, or like they were winning the late rounds. They were kind of just like evenly matched throughout the round, but it wasn't until like the very end of those rounds where like we really saw a breakdown in like the SAD versus Oxygen kind of like differential. And another key like thing for me as well is, I kind of mentioned it prior, but this is like KO is Mitch. When I think of KO players, I think of Mitch, right? Like a high fragging IGL role. Statistically, it is his highest fragging role. His stats are amazing on it, and he showed it again here where he popped off MVP.
Which was great to see. And I think, too, when I'm looking at this Oxygen versus SAD matchup, I'm looking back to kind of what we've lined out for each team. SAD Esports, of course, this team that is still grinding, finding their identity after switches. Whereas for Oxygen, it's this team that we're looking to be this team that might be making Ascension, might be moving on into VCT Americas. So to have a stronger performance here, I think was really important to just kind of maintain that this is something that they are ready for going on forward. This is only the first step, though. It's the quarterfinals, so I'm not going to get too carried away, but a good first step nonetheless. As for us, we do still have an interview. It's going to be Mitch after a post-series highlight, so don't wander off too far.
One enemy remaining.
I suggest you.
One enemy remaining. Hey. One enemy remaining. Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Turn it
One enemy remaining. 30 seconds left. One enemy remains left. Spike planted. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
strong showing coming out from Oxygen, taking down SAT Esports as they look to be pushing along in our upper bracket. And to chat a little bit more, I have Mitch here. Congratulations on the win. I want to talk back to a little bit earlier in the series with where we kicked off this series, because we got to see Abyss. And last time you two faced off, we got to see the most groundbreaking composition coming out from y'all on Haven. Banded out this time around. Was this kind of a little bit of a bait to go onto a map that you're actually kind of comfortable with, or?
I mean, no, not really. We're comfortable on every map, so I mean, whatever they pick, we're ready on. It was pretty exciting to play Abyss, though. We've been scrimming it a little bit before the playoffs here, and it's been like personally my like funnest map to play. So I was pretty hyped to play it.
All right. Having it be the funnest map, I don't know if I get to hear that opinion too often. So I want to kind of dive into that one a little bit more. Like getting into Abyss, how is the team kind of looking at it in terms of as well expectations on how to be going into this with playoffs, considering it's not something you really have too much tape on, even on the other teams, or even just an overall meta composition that's been coming out?
I think I mean, obviously there's no meta right now. There could be a million different comps that could be played on the map, but as long as we, practice pretty hard on the map and come up with new things and stick to what we know is good, I think we'll be winning basically every Abyss. But yeah, I guess time will tell with that. And we also like getting the jump start on it, because maybe that'll be other teams perma vetoes, and then they obviously lose the veto if they have a perma veto. So
it's definitely a really good idea. So I'm glad that we got to see a strong Oxygen on that today. I want to ask a little bit about the rest of the series too. Looking at last time you two faced off, we got to see the Sunset, then followed by the Lotus. Oxygen win coming on out. Were you a little surprised that we got to see the exact same result? Did you feel like they swapped up enough on the Sunset? Because we still got to see a pretty strong Oxygen win there.
I mean, it's basically the same thing I said for Abyss. If we keep doing what we know is good, we're obviously going to get good results. So they did swap up a few things, I think, but our coaches game planned us really well. Had a good start to the game, and obviously we snowballed with it. So.
All right, well, I feel like I know the answer going into this next one, but I still have to ask nonetheless. Next up, you're going up against M80. They're feeling a bit more confident. They're looking better. They're talking being back to like this vintage top tour. How are you feeling going up against them now?
I mean, I think it's going to be a fun match. Last time we played them, it was, I think it was overtime or like 13-11 games. So they're obviously really good. They have a lot of firepower. They have, a good coach, everything. They also added net recently. So they're obviously no slouches. I think it's going to be a really fun game for us, and it's going to be a good test going further, I guess.
All right, I'm definitely excited for it. You saw that they pulled out a triple Senti comp today. Are you guys ready for the shenanigans that they're kind of pulling?
I think we're really good at adapting, so we'll be able to adapt to whatever they throw at us.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. Mitch, this was a great series, so I'll let you get on with your night, but thank you so much for chatting. Best of luck going up against M80.
Thank you.
Thank you. As for us, it's been a fun day, albeit a little bit on the quicker end, but we still have a show to be wrapping up. So we're going to bring back our analysts, Roy and Jen, for one last time to be closing out the show. I definitely got to say, I am excited for that matchup, because M80 in their vintage form going up against this confident Oxygen, it's going to be a good one.
Listen, I hate Mitch, okay? He is so comfortable. It actually makes me jealous. Like he's down for any competition. He's ready. They're so confident. They're calm. They're collected. They're prepped. They play every map except maybe Haven, because they're not sure what's going on with that map. But on the surface level, at the very least, they seem like they're down for whatever. And it's like, I hate him for that. I obviously in like a good way, but like still, it's nice to see. I like the confidence. Like it doesn't seem fabricated. It seems like legitimate, right? It seems like actual genuine confidence, and like that level of it with such a high level of competition is really nice to see.
Yeah, I think it's an earned confidence, which is really nice. There's no ego about it. It's just like, yes, we're good, and this is why. Pulling up the bracket, of course, we've talked we've talked about this Oxygen going up against M80, as those are the two teams that we got to see going up today. Be moving on into the upper semis. We still have stuff on the other side though, Jen, and that's going to be happening tomorrow. That'll be a lot of fun.
Oh my god, Dark Zero Blinn is gonna be a banger. Moist Shopify, Fluffy Aimers, that rivalry continues. And yeah, there's a lower bracket, but we still have so many good matches. And even Oxygen M80, yeah, that's not gonna happen for another 2 days, but that's essentially like, feels like a grand finals already, feeling like top 3 teams facing off this early. This lower bracket is gonna be so cutthroat. Like, to say goodbye to SAD or TSM this early feels like a crime, but this is do or die. These teams have been grinding for weeks to improve. They're so hungry to get to Ascension, to be part of the best, but this is like the finish line. This is where you put it all on the line.
That's exactly it. I mean, if a team's looking to make it to Ascension and to perhaps be that team that moves on just that little further into VCT Americas, you got to perform at all stages. So it's going to get cutthroat, and I'm all here for it. But unfortunately, that is it for us today. It has been a lot of fun. Roy, Jen, you guys crush it, especially Jen too. You hopped in last second, and it's been awesome having you. Gamer Gobs crushed it. Of course, big thanks to all the production behind the scenes and you at home for watching. We hope to see you again here tomorrow for our next round of matches. But until then, have a good night. Good luck in your ranked games.
One enemy remaining. Spike planted. One enemy remains left. One enemy remaining. Spike planted. One enemy remaining. 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 30 seconds. One enemy remaining. Last player standing.
One.
One enemy One enemy remaining. One. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
I suggest you
One enemy remaining. Hey. One enemy remaining. Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
What else?
30 seconds left. One enemy remaining. 30 seconds left.
You're nothing.
One enemy remains left.
The ultimate flip.
Spike planted.